God alone knows how many men and boys have died there during the last 12 years. Thursday, I was told that there were more than 20,000 in the camp. There had been as many as 60,000. Where are they now? I have reported what I saw and heard, but only part of it. For most of it, I have no words.
Murrow visits Buchenwald, April the 12th, the day President Franklin Roosevelt dies in the United States. Memorial services are held in the cities of the Allies, from the Paris newspaper Le Monde.
The great voice which directed American political destinies has been hushed, but its echo continues in French souls. Let us weep for this man.
Red Cross worker Rosie Norwalk writes home from London.
The really surprising thing is how deeply the British have reacted. They are so damn self-assured and unemotional that their open displays of feelings amazes me.
Two weeks later, American troops open the gates of Dachau. Like Buchenwald, a concentration camp for political and military prisoners, not a killing center like Auschwitz or Treblinka, but a deadly place for thousands nonetheless. Among the Americans entering Dachau is Rabbi David Max Eichhorn, who conducts the camp's first Sabbath service, chanting a prayer for the dead.
El Mole Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamse Menucha Nechona Tachas Kanfei Hashchina. A day of celebration shall this be for you, a day when every man shall return to his family and to his rightful place in society. Today I come to you in a dual capacity, as a soldier in the American Army and as a representative of the Jewish community of America. As an American soldier, I say to you that we are proud, very proud, to be here, to know that we have had a share in the destruction of the most cruel tyranny of all time.
The service ends with a choir of just liberated Hungarian Jewish women singing a song Rabbi Eichhorn has just taught them. In late April, on the Elbe River near the German town of Torgau, Allied troops finally meet up with the Russians, and 2 days later meet again for the world's press. They are only 70 miles from Berlin, and the mood is festive. Ed Cunningham, reporting for Yank magazine.
A Russian major set the tone with a toast. Today, he said, we have the most happy day of our lives. Just now, our great friends and we have met one another, and it is the end of our enemy. Long live our great countries.
The Allies agree that post-war Germany will be divided into 4 occupation zones, with Berlin in the Soviet sector. So the British stop at the Baltic, the Americans at the Elbe, and the Russians get to take Berlin. General Patton and British Field Marshal Montgomery, who have been racing for Berlin for months, are furious, but not the troops. Private First Class Ned Davis.
I say let Russia occupy Germany. It may sound quite barbarous to most of us, but I think total demolition of the Nazis should be carried through. The Russians would do this.
Hitler commits suicide April 30th. 200,000 Russians died taking Berlin. Virginia Irwin is the first Western correspondent into the city.
The Russians were happy, with an almost indescribably wild joy. They were in Berlin. In this German capital lies their true revenge for Leningrad and Stalingrad, for Sevastopol and Moscow. and the Russians are having their revenge.
Although Stalin's own people are starving, for political reasons he feeds the Berliners. But at the same time, thousands of Berlin women are raped by Red Army soldiers. Swiss journalist Max Schnetzer.
One woman died from being misused by the soldiers. In other houses, the Russians acted more like friends. They are like a hailstorm that only destroys part of the harvest.
The people of Europe have endured unprecedented destruction. Now, at last, it is over. President Harry Truman, May the 8th, 1945.
The Allied armies, through sacrifice and devotion, have wrung from Germany a final and unconditional surrender. The Western world has been freed of the evil forces which for 5 years and longer have imprisoned the bodies and broken the lives of millions upon millions of free-born men.
Edith Sokol, Cleveland, Ohio.
VE Day, officially today. Same old day, same old routine, same old nightly letter when I should be kissing you in order to celebrate. I adore you, my darling. You are my world. There is no one like you.
Edna Gladstone, New York City.
Whether these celebrated days mean that I'll see you in a few weeks, months, or years, you will find when you do come home that this is the woman who will love you all her life.
First Lieutenant Bill Preston with the Third Army in Germany.
We heard that there were wild celebrations in the streets of London, but the frontline troops didn't celebrate. Most of the men merely read the story of victory from the division bulletin, said something like, "I'm glad," and walked away. They were too tired, or thinking of home too much, or thinking of their buddies who didn't live to see the victory.
Florence Webb, Gas City, Indiana.
My only fear now is that you'll be sent to the Pacific. I'm counting so much on your getting home.
30 million people, 2/3 of them civilians, die in the European war. Those who survive are changed forever. They go home as different people. 2 different people.
We will never be the naive innocents we were, none of us.
Army nurse Marjorie LaPalme.
Perhaps most of all, I will remember the quiet courage of common, ordinary people.
Flyer Quentin Annenson.
I fought and killed not only because it's my job, but also because my hope for happiness lies beyond this horror. I've gambled my life so that my sons won't have to go through the same thing.
An unnamed American soldier.
I am being sent home. Going back to the United States is not the shining goal it might seem, as long as it's still being blurred by the blood of Americans dying for freedom on foreign soil.